I feel the testosterone rush.
Is it Google, right?
Pardon?
It's Google.
Yes, yeah, it's the portfolios.
I just
Great, no funny. Yeah.
it's a different place.
Yeah, they switched it. Oh, perfect. Great.
With their MacBooks open.
Yeah, I'm going to show actually one of the collaborations that they did, because when Tom was talking about how Google, when you collaborate online, is good for introverts and extroverts, I can totally see that, because we do it a lot, but we did one collaboration and they were dead quiet. And I have arguably the chattiest class in the whole school, and they're nice, but they're just, I don't know, it's just a chatty group, and they were all just focused. So I was going to just show it's like a quick video. And I love Google Docs for students. I like the whole idea of it. And so the idea with portfolios, I don't think this is like revolutionary. I know there's probably different, better ways, but it works. And my students are like fully engaged. In fact, they're going to be working on it when I'm in here. So I've asked two of the students to kind of be ready in case I chat with them. So you can see kind of how it works.
So they're on standby.
They're on standby, yeah. And if, Island's down, they're fantastic. So yeah. Hope there's enough seats or give everyone a chance to do it. My power pose. It's not nervous. It's the Wonder Woman pose. They call it. Of course, yeah. Oh yeah, you got it. But I'm going to be going back and forth from here to these.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you as well.
Oh. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm going to leave it here for now.
Yeah, it's basically it's a Google device. All your docs are basically stored in the cloud. closer to them like a little bit. Cool, thank you.
Hi, I'm Claire. I was told there's going to be some more people coming in, so I just want to give everyone like 2 more minutes, and if no one comes in, that's better. I get a little nervous, so that's okay. So we'll start in about 2 minutes.
Okay. What was your name again? John. Director of Teaching, Education, Senior. Okay. Yeah. I'm the faculty development coordinator at the American College of Sophia. So, similar to PD, teacher evaluation and increasingly school improvement is probably moving towards a team faculty position. I mean, we're sort of on a college model, which is our titles, but it's moving in the direction of, Sherry is my wife, which is sort of director of teaching and I go back to school. Our jobs are sort of like that, and we've sort of, in many ways, the same. She's got a little more curriculum. I've got more school improvement, both had a limited teacher evaluation.
Yes.
I think some school, we've got a much bigger, sometimes students, 90% over the really talented, and 2/3 of our teachers are Bulgarian as well. It's international. So it's really interesting cultural challenges to get everyone on the same page, pedagogically. Well, I'm running the accreditation plan right now, which is a school improvement model for the next 7 years. Focusing on formative assessments, on organizational communication, and ESL, which sort of, all the and with ESL and ESL classes, and especially when we're doing more in grade, this is sort of that's a clear, and then there's always an assumption. They were coached by you. Some of them, it's more, yeah, 90, not more than 90%.
Okay, so I think we should just get started. My name's Wachowiak. I teach grade 5 here at ICS. Next year I'm going into the role as the tech integrationist. So it'll be for both campuses, so it's going to be a big switch. I'm really looking forward to it. Today I wanted to talk about using Google Docs for digital portfolios. But we can also talk about Google Docs in general. Is everyone familiar with Google Docs here and Google Drive for the most part? Do we have any Google Docs, like Google schools? People who use Google Drive as a school? Yeah. Okay. Because we consider ourselves like a Google school, so a lot of what we do is on Google Drive. I wanted to show you, I was listening to Tom's presentation. He talked very quickly about collaboration, for introverted students and for extroverted students. And I agree with this. This is only about 30 seconds long. It was a collaboration. The students had to work in groups of 3, but it was online. So one student had the doc, they shared it with the other 2 students they were working with, and I said, okay, we'll get to work. And I was telling some people earlier, I have a very chatty class this year. I teach 5th grade, and they're just chatty. And I don't know, it's just the makeup of the class. And this was their collaboration. When I showed them this, they all were like, what? Like they couldn't believe this. So this is them collaborating using Google Docs. And the only direction was work on the assignment. So this is what it looked like with the collaboration. They're all engaged. And they're talking through the chat function. They're taking notes on ancient civilizations. Every one of them was engaged. So that was just, when he talks about the collaboration online, I think that he has, I think Tom had a really good point on that. that it is good for extroverts and introverts. So mine was the idea of Google Docs. It's easy to create digital student portfolios that demonstrate learning journeys and showcase finished products. This session will explore this path and incorporate insights into the new add-ons. Originally, when I first started working at a PYP school, actually it was in China, a school in China, and even here, I didn't really get portfolios. I didn't think they were really demonstrating growth. I think it was more kind of like, hey, look what I've done. And I didn't think, it was not very meaningful to students. Whenever you talk about portfolios, students go, oh, even before, like the first one of the year, they just kind of dreaded it. And I thought, well, this is something important. Obviously, there are people who think this is valuable, so I'm missing something. And so I kind of tried to look at it in a different way. So I thought, well, and I talked to students about it. We kind of like had a class meeting about it. And I thought about the technology that we already use. I thought that, a way to kind of continue to use the skills and sharpen those skills. I hated to print out so much paper. It was always printing out or copying, and it was always like organizing the paper, and it was just always kind of a bit of a mess. And the students actually wanted to try it. I said, well, why don't we try doing, portfolios on a Google Doc? We're like, yeah, let's do it. So, as a teacher, the students also have blogs. Each week, I go through a list of assignments that talks to that tells the students, that reminds the students kind of the major projects that we've worked on. So it could be poetry, problem solving in math, units, advertising, and we list it. Then their job is to reflect on that. So either it's Thursday night homework or we'll do it Friday, and then they write that reflection on their student blog. The reason I do that, again, is that so they remember, so when we go back and do portfolios, they can just look through their blog. And also, the parents have a chance to look at it as well when it's on the blog. And I'll show you a couple of examples of those. And also, they already use Google Drive, so they're already incorporating skills that they have. Okay, so Google Drive. The idea too is when they're organizing it in a portfolio digitally, they're using links, they know how to share files and all that sort of stuff, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But again, I wanted to try to make the portfolios meaningful, to use the skills that they already have, and I just thought it would be easier, and it's easy to share with parents too, and I'll kind of show you that as well. Okay, so in Google Drive, students have the student folders. So for me, the students share their folders with me. So I have access to their folders, and I have edit privileges. So I can go in right now to any of my students' folders and see kind of what they're working on. Part of digital citizenship for me also is that students learn how to organize themselves digitally. So another part of using portfolios as a Google Doc is that it helps students kind of know how to organize and know how to find items quickly. So this is Stanley, and he's pretty good at organizing. Obviously, there's some students that are all over the map. I'm not going to show you those, but most of the students do get it. And the thing is that I try not to tell them exactly what to do because I want them to come up with their own system. And he has. I mean, this is not how I would do it at all, but this is how he's done it. And again, I have access to this at all times. It's shared with me. To go back to the blog, the weekly blog, and also with portfolios, the idea is to reflect on your growth. If they are doing this every 6 weeks, I don't feel that it's meaningful for them, and I don't think it's meaningful for me or for them or even for the parents, because they forget. I forget what we did 2 weeks ago, so I can't expect them to remember. By using the student blogs as kind of almost like a brainstorm, I'm also teaching them how to reflect with their writing every week. So it's just a quick mini lesson. So they have kind of these sentence starters that we talk about. We've talked about what they should cover, So it's like working as a team helped me realize that. I was surprised that. I can tell my writing improved. So as they do this every week, and you don't have to do it on a blog. You could also do this as a running record on a Google Doc if you wanted to. It kind of helps students to get into that mindset of always reflecting, of always thinking, okay, how I've improved, or what did I really do well this week. This part was challenging for me because, however, I struggled here, but then so getting them to use this, we've been doing this since the beginning of the year, and they're just starting to do this now, as 5th graders, starting to really kind of not feel overwhelmed by this. and they're starting to really feel comfortable using this, doing this type of writing. But again, the student blogs are kind of what help me get into the portfolios that are every 6 weeks or whenever it is. Let me go back. Okay, so here are some blog examples, and I can show you some live ones too. So this is Daniel's, and this is Isla's. So Daniel wrote, we went to Dialogue in the Dark, he wrote a poem about it, an I Am poem. So he said, we have recently visited the Dialogue in the Dark, and we decided to write a poem. Right here, he also links on to the Google Doc. So if someone clicks on there, he shared the Google Doc as public file. Anybody can see it. Same with Isla. It says, click here if you would like to see my actual essay. For the brainstorming, click here if you want to see the actual essay. If you click on it, it opens up. So they're learning kind of how to share, how to connect, how to organize. So this would be, I'll show you Isla's blog. So this is the student blog. And so every week they reflect on this. And again, the reflecting every week is a major part of this, because if I just did it every 6 weeks, they're not going to remember. But again, you don't have to do it on a blog if you don't have student blogs. You can do it as in a document. So that's Isla's blog, and that's Daniel's blog. The next thing that I do for the portfolio, so this was something that the Teachers Week came up with. These are the things that they need. I shared a copy with them. They make their own copy. It has all the items listed that they need. And then they also, again, learn how to file share. So it'll say copy of portfolio entry 2. The naming system that we've kind of come up with is they just put their name in front of it. So they'll say like Isla portfolio entry 2. So it's kind of easy to search, and it's in her, where she files her information. And so they'll get this. Again, I have them the share settings. I have them do it public on the web so anybody can see it. It's the website address is so long. I don't think anyone's just going to stumble upon it. And even if they do, it's nothing too personal. On the information that they're putting on their portfolio. This is a student example. So I think this was Stanley's, and he writes, work examples, names. So this is his reflection. Persuasive writing. What I think I did very good on this project was to teach us how to persuade someone to think what we think by using 3 valid points, a thesis, so he kind of goes into it. Then, here's his Google Doc. You click on it, it opens it up, the parents can see it. That's the great thing, is that this is kind of like a work in progress. So the parents can see it, I can see it, and in fact, I'm going to try to get online with him right now because I think he's working on it. And so this is kind of sometimes what I'll do in class. Instead of talking to them, I'll just chat with them on the computer. And they so he's on it now. So you can see the S, he's on it now. Sorry. And I'll notice that a lot of times, and students will do this when I'm on GChat as well, if they're having a hard time and they're kind of embarrassed, they don't want to talk about it, they'll just send me a chat message. And then we can talk that way. But I told him I was going to do it, but I don't know, he might not be on this very second. But so we can have a conversation that way. And also, what I have students do is I'll have them peer edit, have them peer share. And so they'll be looking at each other's portfolios or other documents, and they'll chat with each other using this as well. If they don't want to talk in person, they can chat this way. So it's just it's a nice way to be able to give them quick feedback. The parents can look at this, the parents can comment on this. I don't think, a lot of times people say, well, there's all these like tools and systems or websites for digital portfolios. We already have this. It's simple. They know how to use it, so now we can just sharpen the tools that the skills that they have. See, it's good. Just finishing up my portfolio. He knew that you guys were here, so that's okay. He's like, I learned my craig grammar. So it's a nice way to be able to talk to the students, to have the students talk to the parents, and you can get a conversation going, and it shows growth. So I'll show you Isla's, because hers is also a good example. Again, there's some students that are all over the map with this, but like for instance. This one, 2 pieces of math. So she wrote wrote one, and then she's comparing it, so you can see she's on it right now. So I could, chat with her and just say, how's it going, this, that, and the other. What I like to do is when this goes home, and the parents look at this over the weekend, is I like to see the parents respond back to I really want them to kind of interact with this as well. So usually they'll sit down, hopefully with their child, or if not, if they're at work, they can do this while they're at work. They can share this information with people who aren't living in the same country or the same city, which a lot of these international students have families all over the place. So it enables them, all they have to do is share the link, it's already open on the web, boom, the family members can see it. That's the reason why I like it. It's not fancy, it's not very pretty, but to me it's very functional. And again, it's using a lot of digital citizenship with organization, and it just kind of covers a lot. So I'll show you. This is one where a parent sat down with, this is Isla again. Judy actually sat down with her daughter, and then they kind of went over that. They really went in depth, and then they had some questions for me, and then I answered them. And it's just a really nice way to have a conversation with the parents, the child, and you as well, not just always, face to face, or, sometimes you just don't have time. So I like that. Does anyone have any questions so far about any of this, or concerns, or, yeah?
Do you have this checklist due weekly as part of their weekly reflection?
I do. I will just, and in fact, I forgot to bring a copy of, I'll just take any kind of piece of paper and I'll say, this is what we've done this week.
Okay.
And it's not fancy, it's just literally on one of those chart papers,
Mm-hmm.
and I write it down, and then someone will say, oh, you forgot this, and I'm like, okay, I'll add it on. And they reflect on one thing out of it. And then also they can do single subject reflections as well if they want to.
So you go over the week and
Yep.
review, and then they pick something
Yep.
to reflect on. They don't do it for each.
No, it's
So
too
it
much.
makes a match,
Yeah. And I always say, if you had a challenge somewhere, what was the challenge and what did you do to overcome it? That's part of the reflection. And at first they were not good at reflecting. And then now, as they have done it more, I can tell they're getting the hang of it, they're getting the gist, and so they're thinking more about it. And now even they'll say something like, oh, I can put this on my portfolio, or I can put this on my blog. It's like, yeah, so it's taken a while, but it seems to work okay. Yeah.
I'm working at the high school level where the conversation sometimes cuts to what's a good thesis statement versus what's a better thesis statement. How easy does this platform work with a rubric and these conversations around good, better, best?
Well, that's a good question, because I don't really have a rubric for this. Could you repeat the first part of your question again?
Well, if you've got a kid who's done a piece of writing and the thesis really kind of needs some work, have you worked with putting up exemplary work, examples of what excellent looks like, ways to link, give kids an idea
Yes.
of what to shoot for?
Yes. With the portfolio, not as much because we're just starting it, but like for our persuasive writing unit, I do have examples of like persuasive papers for them to look at. So
And
there
those
is
are all
something.
there in the file so they can compare what they've got to those.
Yes. Yeah,
Cool.
and I'll do that too with the portfolio. If someone has what I think is a really nice reflection or a blog, I'll put that up and we'll talk about what makes it a good reflection.
Mhm.
So I do try to give examples. Maybe I don't know if it's as formal,
Mhm.
but it will say like, I'm like, well, let's take a look at Daniel's why this is so effective, and then we'll kind of talk about it. What he can do maybe next time to add even more to it. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's more. I think for this piece is more informal because this is the first time I'm doing this,
Mhm.
but it's more informal. But yeah, we definitely
Mhm.
look at that. Because otherwise they don't know. And that was kind of the problem when we first started this, because I didn't really know what it should look like.
Right.
I know like add an example, but what does that look like?
Yeah, and I found, when you're bringing new technology to the forefront with kids, it takes a bit of work to
Yes.
have them not just focus on the process and the technology, and to also focus on that content.
And I think now they're focused. Yeah, I think now at this point they're focusing more on the content, and they really don't. It's almost like they don't even need me anymore with this. They have a lot of them have it down. Not all of them, but a lot of them have it down. Yeah. Yeah.
Where are the holes? Where are the challenges? Where are the problems?
I think it's kind of what he was just saying, that sometimes if a student's really not getting it, I like to sit down with them individually, so it's a time issue. I've been able to sit with them and saying, okay, well I'm glad you're incorporating your I am poem for the giver. And they'll say, I didn't do so well on this, or I did a good job on this. Yeah, okay. So I like to sit down with them and just say, okay, what makes you think you did a good job? Well, I really like this line here. Okay, well, let's write that in there. So it's just kind of helping them be more specific than just general, because sometimes in 5th grade, I don't know if they know why it's good. It's just like asking someone to solve a math problem and saying, how did you solve it? Oh, I don't know, I just, So that, I guess, would be a whole. Sometimes it's the time issue when we first started to really say, okay, well, what does this look like? And what can I do to improve it? Because they'll say, I'm done. And there's always going to be more to do with writing. So I think it's a time issue. But to me, it's the same thing with the paper portfolio. I mean, with the paper portfolio, I think that this is, it's more effective because you can go in and edit it quicker than having to rewrite the whole thing. So that's what I like about that. Yeah, go ahead.
Just, did you say this was shared with just you and the parent?
Yeah, the student, yeah. Yeah. If it's open, when she shares it, it's going to be shared public on the web, but this is the link. So I just don't think anyone's going to stumble upon it. And if they do, it's can view. They can't edit it. So, and partly too, and it's same with the blog. When they know it's going to be online, they really do make an effort with their grammar and their spelling more so than they would with the paper, because they just feel like more people could look at it. So I find that their writing improves too as well with this system. But yeah. So again, it's not super pretty, but like click here and it'll take you right there. So that's kind of what, it's functional. Okay. The add-ons are something on Google Docs. Does anyone know about what add-ons are? Okay, I'll show you, because I didn't know either. So I'll show you. And what Tom and I had first discussed was to have the students do add-ons on their portfolio. For me, with technology, just personal note, I don't like to give students technology just to give them technology. There has to be a why, and there has to be a reason for it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense, and then they won't feel comfortable with it. No one knows why we're really using it. That's different than like exploring a new tool. But sometimes I'm saying, hey, put some add-ons in your Google Doc. Why are we doing it? What's the benefit? That sort of a thing. So with this one, the students are not doing add-ons on this portfolio piece, but we'll probably try with different Google Docs as we go on. I'll kind of show you what an add-on is. So basically, the add-ons let you do new and cool things with your Google Docs, and it adds more functionality. So up on the, let me see if you look up here, it says add-ons. Okay, I'm going to go back. When you click on that button, oh, there it is, add-ons, already had it on. And you'll get a list of these kind of like different things to do. And there's a lot to do. And it's even for me as an adult a little overwhelming. Because then when you click on it, I'll show you in just a moment, it'll kind of explain what it is. And some of it's like, oh, that's cool, but are you really going to use it? And that's, for me, I really want students to be, I don't know what the word is. I don't want them just to add it because it's cool. I want them to really want to use it. Discretionary, is that the right word? Yeah, I'm not sure that's the right word. So anyway, so as I kind of get to know it, as we do more Google Docs, I'll probably just have them move around and just to see. So essentially, what you do is you add it on. I chose calculator. This was kind of cool. And it says in this menu, click calculator. Okay, so I added on calculator, and then it asks you to, permission to use it, and you're like, okay. And then it comes up, when you click on add-ons again, it'll just come up as calculator. And then you hit calculator, and then you'll hit start, and this pops up on the side of the document. So it's fantastic. So if you were doing something like with math, you could put this calculator on, and you could check your work that way, or the parents could check the work if it was for like a portfolio piece. So the add-ons just kind of give it a little something, but it doesn't do it for every document. So we would only do it, my understanding is this add-on is only for this document, which is really nice because you could really make it more personal, you can make it more functional, depending on what you need. But there are a lot of different add-ons for this, and that's why at this point, I just kind of wanted the students to finish their portfolios, because it's tomorrow, our student-led conferences, and I wanted to really focus on doing that. But next week, I'm going to introduce add-ons, and we're going to talk about how we can use them, and let them kind of, goof around with it, give them time for that. So that's it. I'll show you some add-ons. That's it kind of for the presentation right now. So any more questions about anything or comments? Do you like this? Do you think this is a nice thing, or are you kind of, as a parent, like if you had kids, do you think this would be a nice way to get your students' work? Do you think? Yes, you won't hurt my feelings. Do you like it?
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
It's not, I don't think it's pretty, but I think it does the job, and it's using skills they already have.
I wonder whether it could at some point work well with a Google Sites kind of thing, where kids have a little
Probably.
basic Google site where their portfolio is parked along with some video and some photos.
The Google Sites is blocked here in Turkey.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so I saw a lot of people using Google Sites, but since it's blocked here, I'm like, well, what can I use?
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I came up with. But the thing is too, that we use WordPress here at school, and I like it, it's nice. And I did also do a point where I'm like, how many, I want to kind of keep it, I want to focus on the ones that we have, and so that's part of the reason I did it on the Google Docs as well, because I feel like he's got this site and this site and this site, and what's the purpose and that sort of thing, so.
Now, if you're
I guess-
attaching one of these portfolios to a WordPress site, does it become a static document? Do you have to upload a new version, or can you get in there and edit it within WordPress?
If I have a link on WordPress,
Yeah, just
and it
the link.
takes me to the Google
Yeah,
Doc,
okay.
yeah, I think if you have edit privileges, I'm pretty sure you can edit it,
Okay.
yeah.
But you can embed one too.
You can embed one too,
So you can
yes.
see the changes.
We haven't done that yet though, but yeah. And that's the other thing too, is that you can, with the Google Docs, I can make comments on it, and you can see the changes as they go. I always tell them, don't resolve the comments to keep it.
How long does it take to get your students used to doing this and working with it and kind of being confident with it?
It's taken me pretty much the whole year, yeah. And part of it though, I think, to be fair, is that I wasn't that super comfortable with it, because it was the first time I was doing it. And so it was that, the students now are coming up with their own ideas, and like, hey, I can do this, and they're starting to do links that I wouldn't have thought of. So I think part of it was my kind of like, I'm not sure how this is gonna work. And, I always tell the students, we try something new, it could be a disaster, it could be great, let's just try it, because who knows. But I would say at least a half a year, depending. If the students if they buy the same students next year, it would be much faster, because they would be used to it already.
Oh, is this something that will go on in the next grade that they go up to? Or is it
I don't know, yeah, I think right now I'm the only one that's doing this as a portfolio. But it's probably something that, I know the sixth grade teachers that they might be interested in, and if a student, said, hey, this is how I want to do it, I think it would be okay. So, yeah, I think I'm the only one doing it. I was just also lazy. I just don't like the paper portfolios. And some of the stuff is paper, like they have hard copies. And so like here, they'll have copied ready, links ready. So this is GD means Google Doc, and HC would be hard copy. And then they keep that in a file. And that's it.
Is this basically just a table that you set up in Google?
That's it.
Mhm.
And then just add to it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's again it's just, but to me, it's kind of, they can work on it at home, they're not ready.
Yeah.
In fact, we had yesterday off, so they worked on it at home. I know, a lot of them are like, well, I finished it yesterday, so I was like, great, well, you can work with a partner and see where you can, improve it and that sort of a thing. So.
You have it set up as a template so you can push it out to kids and
Yep.
they can just.
Yeah, when I send it out, I send it out as a copy of Portfolio 2 or whatever it is, and then they have under Can View,
Yeah.
so they make a copy, and then they.
And
And then they keep it in that, the nice thing is that they keep it in this folder, and then, so like, for instance, let me go back, with Stanley, he has it in conferences, so I know I would just go in conferences, it'll say Stanley, copy of Portfolio 3, and I'll just click on it and I can open it. So he doesn't have to share with me every time, I don't get an email every time they make an update, which is not, I did that at first, I was like, oh, this is a nightmare. But, I had 20 emails all the time, but anyway, so, yeah, it's nice. Okay. Do we want to look at the add-ons, or do you guys want to kind of explore this on your own, or, because I don't have the add-ons, but I can kind of show you what, do you want me to show you kind of what I'm talking about with the add-ons?
I played with it just now and I feel like it's pretty easy to figure out,
It
but
kind of
I would
is.
like, there seems like there's so many, so I would like to see a few that you have found useful, if you think that they're.
Well, the only one that I really looked at was the calculator one, and I also looked at and that's not true, I also looked at, there was one that was thesaurus,
Yeah.
which sometimes the students, I think I did a good job, think of another word, you know, besides good, so that would be another one I'd probably recommend to them. And there's also easy bibliography, if they, you know, for like the persuasive essay that they're doing, we're probably gonna talk about that one next week.
Yeah.
So then they know we have cite sources, that's a big deal, they're just starting to realize you've gotta cite the source, you know, on a regular basis. Okay, so, yeah, we have, it is 11:35, so we've got about 10 more minutes, 20 minutes?
I'm reading the schedule already.
Okay.
Copy read at 11:30.
Oh, is it? Oh, great, okay. Well, that's
Good timing.
yeah, perfect timing. All right, good. I was like, oh no. Okay, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And I hope if you have any questions, I think my emails might be on the list.
No, it's not on the website.
What is it?
It's here. I can write it down for you. Old school. My last name is incredibly long, so just so you know. Wachowiak. So really, please feel free to, you're not bugging me, you know, if you have any questions about anything, it's not a problem, I don't mind. I can send you this presentation too if you want.
Looks like a dash.
It's a dash. Yeah, sorry, dash, IICS-K12.tr.
Sorry, and your name was?
Claire.
Claire,
Claire, yeah.
That's my niece.
Not dot.
When?
You made ICS dot K12.tr?
I don't think so. Oh, you have my phone. It's Dot?
Oh, okay.
Sorry, this is Dot. Really? Oh, I'm thinking of the website. Sorry, guys. So Claire, C. Wachowiak at ICS.K12.tr if you want. You're welcome. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
They highlighted it.
Somewhere.
Oh, I
So I
know.
wonder, this whole, what it would look like, should I show you?
Yeah, absolutely. John, this is the test I was talking about, my grade, so after